Okay, everyone. So let's begin with chapter number 2. And the title for this chapter is Strategic Planning for Competitive Advantage. So far, we have covered some basic concepts of marketing, and initially we discussed about the misconception that some people have that marketing is only limited to personal selling or advertisement or promotions. Of course, they are integral part of marketing, but marketing has a holistic view of a business organization, how it engages in different processes of value creation, its communication and delivery, and then exchange of value and customer relationship management, and so on. So marketing is a broader field, and there are a lot of concepts that we discussed in the previous couple of sessions that we had. We also spoke about the needs, wants, and demands of customers that are the ultimate focus of most of the marketeers. And we also discussed the type of orientations that marketeers have. Some marketeers have a production orientation, which is to produce more products and put them on the shelf so people can purchase their products. Of course, those have to be defect-free quality products so people enjoy them, they have a good experience with them. And then there are other marketeers who believe that rather than focusing on products, you should be focusing on consumers, the customers or the consumers, people who will be eventually using those products and services. And that is a different orientation in the sense that it not only focuses on the customer need, but designs the product and service according to those needs and wants. And then we also discussed about the societal aspect, the societal orientation of marketing, where marketing is not limited to the production of products and services or fulfilling customer needs, but also it takes into consideration that the society as a whole is also a stakeholder of the marketing processes. Now, once we have established it that the marketing process is bigger than uh, the personal selling or advertisement, and it also includes the product design, the pricing strategies, the distribution strategies, the communication between consumer and organization, and back and forth, vice versa. Also, the promotional aspects and the value creation aspect of marketing. Then, after establishing those points, we will focus on the strategic orientation of a particular organization. Why this is important? Because, of course, first of all, it will define the direction of a business organization. And then on the second level, it will help the marketing department to create a marketing plan. Because without a marketing plan, the marketing department would not be, at least would not be feasible to understand what should be the direction of their activities, their processes, and what kind of orientation they should follow. Whether they should focus on the quality of the products and services, or they should focus on customer needs and wants and do some marketing research based on that, whether they should consider different kind of environmental issues and different types of societal focus group issues, because each and every orientation has its own advantages and disadvantages. And as we progress in this course, we will find out these issues and we will have a debate on them as well. But as far as the second chapter is concerned, the outcomes that we are focusing on are including an understanding of the strategic marketing processes and how a marketing plan helps us to draft a document which is providing a strategic direction for any marketeer working for a business organization. Of course, the scale of the organization and the scale of marketing processes will also define the scale of the marketing plan. Then the second outcome should be to develop an appropriate business mission statement. Here, I want to express a little bit of this concern that most of students, they find a redundancy when they study different strategic courses in a single course or single program. The reason for that is most of the strategic courses will talk about a core framework of strategic or organizational processes. For example, we will always start from the vision and mission statement, and then we will further progress to the core objectives and short-term goals. And of course, that framework is applicable almost everywhere in most of the strategic courses, whether it is strategic marketing, strategic management, strategic finance. So it is applicable in most of the strategic kind of discussions. So again, when we talk about marketing, we have to focus on the vision and the mission of the organization. And the mission statement helps you to understand what kind of orientation this business has towards the market and the consumers. Then we will also try to describe the components of a situation analysis. Of course, a situation means the context that a business is working in. There is rivalry between different competitors. There is customer negotiation power that is being in place. There is suppliers negotiation power. Also, you have certain strengths and weaknesses that are internal to the organization. There are certain opportunities and threats that are available in the external environment. So all of those are part of the situational analysis that we will see from an organization's point of view. We will also try to explain the criteria for stating good marketing objectives. And this is very important to understand that when we talk about marketing objectives, they are different from other functional objectives or operational objectives of a business. And how they are different will be deciphered further in this chapter. Now, the next outcome would be to identify sources of competitive advantage. Now, when you're working in a competitive market and you have a lot of competition, the product or the industry has shifted into a maturity stage and there is not much to snatch from the market or gather from the market, then how a business can develop itself into a rejuvenated product or service oriented business. For that, you need to understand what are different sources of competitive advantage that business can possess. What is it that you provide better than other businesses? This is the fundamental question that you need to ask. We will also look at some strategic alternatives. What are the strategic choices that can be available in different types of orientations and how those can be implemented. We had a bit of discussion about this, and as we move further in the course, we will try to untangle different mysteries that are involved in the segmentation, targeting, and positioning. And all three aspects have very intricate kind of discussions that we have to dwell into. But if we talk about segmentation and targeting strategies, there's a bit of flavor in this chapter also, where we will talk about how different target market strategies are implemented. Also, I'm going to introduce once again the marketing mix. We had a brief discussion. We only spoke about the names of the marketing mix. What is product, what is price, what is promotion, and what is placement. So we will further elaborate on these and how they relate to the strategic orientation of a business. Then we will try to explain why implementation, evaluation, control of a marketing plan is necessary, why it is fundamental to the success of a marketing department. Finally, we will identify some techniques that help the strategic planning to be effective and to be rigorously planned rather than haphazardly. Okay, so When we talk about strategy, there is a uniqueness to this concept because the concept is borrowed from the war strategies. And this is the fury of this concept, that it keeps businesses engaged into evolving situations, and businesses have to innovate, businesses have to come up with new ideas, businesses have to look into their capabilities and develop those core capabilities that can give them a competitive advantage. Now, when we talk about strategic planning, it's not just planning, it's not plain planning, it's not like organizing things for yourself and then start working on them. It is to have a direction, it is to have a set of tactics that can differentiate you from your rivals. And those tactics cannot be developed without a perspective, without a context. So when we understand the strategic planning process, the process itself is mundane. It is very boring. It has no fire in it. But if we look at the implementation of these planning processes, the strategic planning process, it has everything which can give motivation and drive to an organization. Number one, what is the industry you are in, and how that industry is being reshaped by the forces that are continuously evolving in the external environment that you're working in. If we talk about telecommunication industry, how telecommunication industry is evolving all over the world, and then in your local context, in Pakistani context, what are the different stakeholders that are involved in that process, how they are influencing the different types of operations that are being carried out in this industry. And most of the time, successful businesses try to forecast things that will happen in future. They have a long-term vision, and that long-term vision helps them to build their core capabilities in the time to come. So as I told you, it's a very mundane process. It is a time-consuming process. It will take a lot of years for organizations. So strategic planning cannot be of a short-term, myopic plan. It cannot be a myopic plan. It has to be long-term. It has to be far-sighted. It has to include those visionary ideas that nobody thought of and that will be practical in future. But right now you're trying to come up with those just by the thought process or the brainstorming of the organization. So when we talk about marketing, that strategic planning comes out in the form of a marketing plan. And marketing plan is a very rigorous document. It has a flavor of the present and a focus of the future. It knows what your customer is, what your the need of the customer is, what your product or service is. At the same time, it shows you how it will evolve into future. It talks about the personality of the consumer. It talks about the particular segment the customer belongs to or out to belong. Sometimes people they try to be a part of a social class which they are not usually a part of. They just pretend to be a part of it. So that pretense can be overcome by a marketeer's facilitation. And we will talk about this when advertisement will be our topic of focus. We will talk about this, that how communication of advertising messages can change the perspective and the perception of society about a particular product and the user of the product. So marketing plan helps to establish branding for an organization, which is completely impression management for products and services. It's a perception building process that you engage yourself in. And there are a lot of components in it which help your organization to create value from nothing. The ROI, the return on investment that you gain on your products and services, will have some tangible investments, will have some operations behind that. But the branding itself is an intangible asset. It's an asset which is totally built upon your goodwill, and it can earn you money without any investment. And then nowadays, in the era of digital marketing and social media marketing, we have a buzz marketing system. We have a word of mouth system where your consumer is marketing your product at your behalf. Not only advertising, but marketing. They're providing you the feedback, how to improve these products and services. At the same time, they're communicating your value to the other customers, your prospective customers. Right. So we can conclude that strategic planning is basically a process which aligns your objectives and your resources. And it is the managerial job, managerial duty as a marketeer, as a marketing manager, and of course, a personnel in the marketing department, that you have to align the resources according to whatever plans, whatever goals, whatever objectives you have for your organization. And the goal can be a part of your overall strategic planning, which is an individual component, and different goals will be directed towards achieving a major long-term goal, which is the ultimate mission of the organization. So keeping all this in mind, you can understand that organizations will have an introspection about these questions, that what is the main activity or the main purpose of our organization, what we are here for, what we produce, what we deliver, and what are the different improvements that we forecast for future, and how to achieve those forecasts. So the overall process itself is called planning. And when we talk about a marketing department, it is converted into different wording, which is called marketing planning, which is not different from planning, because planning is eventually same as including different goals, and then following those goals with short-term objectives, and defining different activities and processes that can accomplish those short-term objectives. Now, the plan in a written form is what we call the marketing plan. And this marketing plan is shared, it is communicated to all the personnels within the marketing department and some key stakeholders that are internal members of the organization. And the reason for that is because until unless you engage people for a common goal, their objective and their task orientation will be different from yours. And that can create a task conflict, even sometimes a process conflict. And eventually you might lose a lot of resources, a lot of costs can be incurred, and the major uncertainty is that you won't be able to achieve the ultimate goal of the organization. So it is important that you put it into a statement form, into a written form. Now, there are multiple benefits of that. Number one, it will provide you a basic baseline, a benchmark, which can be compared to the actual performance which will happen in future. So as you go along executing the plan, you can understand that what are the differences, whether the variant which we have experienced is on the lower side or the on the upper side. So if you have performed a little lower, if you have underperformed, then of course you have to look into the matters that are the matters of concern, and you can use different tools to have an introspection into those problems and come up with the managerial solutions of those problems. But if you have performed well, then of course you will try to understand that what were those key moments that actually help you to trigger this success. Now, if we talk about Tesla, it was an organization of its
of its own type. There were not many, projects that were solely and commercially pursuing a fully electrical car. So a lot of risk is involved in such type of, ventures. But when you get involved in such kind of a venture, with the risk, you have an amazing opportunity of a profitable future, but only if you succeed. So your marketing plan should not only focus on the advertisement of that car which you are going to produce, but also what are the basic features that a consumer of a car will have in mind. What would they need and what would they want? Of course, they want to be comfortable in the car. They want to commute. They want a transportation vehicle. But let's see that. What about the engine noise? Do you believe that a customer would like to drive a car which has no engine noise, zero engine noise? Maybe that can be dangerous for somebody who is unaware that vehicle is right now turned on or off. So maybe you need to install an artificial noise in it, right? Maybe you want to install such kind of components that can produce that vibration and that kind of feeling which provides you the feeling of an actual car. So there can be multiple issues. For example, do you want to install a navigation system in it? Do you want to install a stereo system in it? What would be the design of it? In which color you want to produce it? So all those are a part of marketing because these are product specifications. And your marketing plan should start from the product features. What are the value offerings that you're proposing to the consumer? And those value offerings will have a list of all those features. I remember I was doing this project with one of the companies that produced a couple of beverages. And while I spoke to the quality managers, they told me that the quantity that we put into a beverages bottle, into a fizzy drinks bottle, that's not the only thing a customer or consumer wants to be in a particular, form or in a particular quantity. But there are other characteristics that are attached to the beverage. Number one, what color is it? All the bottles have consistent coloring or not? Number two, what about the fuzziness? How bubbly it is? So people expect from a particular cold drink that it will produce a certain amount of fuzziness. After that, what is the aroma? Because when you sip it, you drink it, you will have that gush of that feeling, that aroma coming to you towards you that will give you a sense of that particular brand. If it is missing, you will doubt in brand and you might not purchase again. And these are only some of those. Of course, there are other technical measures. What is the pH level of the liquid? A particular pH level will produce a different taste in the mouth. So a lot of things go into the processing of designing a particular product. And same goes for a service. Until unless you put yourself in the shoes of customer, you won't be able to understand that what kind of product is required by the customer or what kind of service is required by the customer. And the modern concept of marketing has actually helped us decipher this, that experience is everything. The customer does not only want to have a mobile phone, but also the allied services, what kind of facilities it can acquire in future, what is the type of packaging you're providing them, does it contain any hands-free or not, what kind of charger is installed in it, and so many other things. Same goes for any other product or service. For example, if we go to the barber for a hairstyling, you can understand that if you spend a lot of time sitting over there waiting for your turn, you might choose a new barber because you might not have much time on your hand to just sit lazily over there and look at other people that when they get free. So there are trade-offs that you will face, and you will make decision according to those trade-offs. Same goes for any other consumer. So when we talk about marketing plan, it should be so comprehensive and exhaustive that all the marketing details and all the marketing mix should be present into it. So later on, when we actually work on the product, actually we produce, we communicate the value or value offerings of those products and services, and eventually deliver them to the consumer, we can compare our performance with whatever is planned into the marketing plan. Number two, it provides a clearly stated activities to work toward common goals. So as I told you, the marketing department will have a major link with the production department, the finance department, and the procurement department, as well as the quality management or quality improvement cell. So all those departments will have a cross-sectional link with each other, where multidisciplinary problems will be solved on a daily or a weekly or even sometimes on hourly level. So you have to understand that there must be a common goal which is presented in the marketing plan, which directly relates it to the organizational mission. And then that goal is broken down into several activities. Then those activities are translated into processes, and processes are then divided into individual tasks. And those tasks are usually they're written in the job descriptions of different employees. So eventually a complete system is built up, but that has a link with the marketing plan also. Then it also provides an examination of the marketing environment. It also help you or any reader of the marketing plan to understand that what is the context in which this particular product or service is being produced and delivered. The Pakistani context is very much different from any European country. So there can be some similarities, there can be some differentiations. So things can be different in Pakistan, and things can be different into a particular area of Pakistan. If you want to, if you want to sell T-shirts from Armani, it won't be feasible for you to go to smaller cities because these are very expensive products, and you will try to focus, you will try to target high income groups in the society, and that startup usually lives in urban areas and especially developed urban areas. So you will see that where these people go usually to shop, and you need to have your store over there. But what if you're trying to sell forfeit products, if you're trying to sell a replica, then I believe that your focus should not be to acquire a space into a uh, well of arena where a lot of people from the higher income groups visit, but rather you should be located in a market where um, like people who are have the similar kind of products are they are selling the products. So also, when we talk about marketing environment, internal or external marketing environment, that has a survey which is included in the marketing plan, then serves as a reference for the success of future activities. It depends. Sometimes the marketing plan has those, shining moments in it that when executed, they help the organization to become successful. And that is assumed as the key of success. And later on, whenever new projects are launched, that particular scheme of work is introduced into every new project. So people believe that this can be successful. But a single set of schemes, a set of processes cannot be applied on every new product or service. You have to have some uniqueness in it. And finally, it allows entry into the marketplace with awareness because you do enough due diligence, and that helps you to carefully enter into the market. And even if your analysis says that it is pretty risky for you to right now engage into this particular environment and there's a major element of uncertainty. So you might wait for some time, you might wait for the right time, or maybe while you were doing the environment scanning, you found out that this product or service which you believe is suitable for this market is not feasible for this market. It's not, made for this market because the consumer might not be able to afford it, or maybe there can be some religious or socio-cultural issues that can hinder the sale of these products. So you might find a new environment, a new arena, a new geographical area where you can sell those products. So all of that is usually a part of the marketing plan. So your marketing plan need to have a strategic look. And when we talk about a strategic look, these are a few components that need to be there. Number one, your business's mission statement. Number two, the environment or the situation, the context in which we are working, and the SWOT analysis. Sometimes you do not actually have the SWOT analysis, you have a PESTEL analysis, which is political, economical, social, technological, and legal environmental analysis. But sometimes you go for SWOT analysis, which is internal strengths and weaknesses, and then external opportunities and threats. Both have their advantages and disadvantages. Mostly organizations use both of them because they have so much overlap between them. And then you actually come up with your objectives, that what you want to achieve, what are your objectives, and they need to be smart, they need to be specific, measurable, they need to be attainable, they need to be realistic and time bound. And a major part of your marketing plan should be focusing on marketing mix. What are the product specifications? What is the segment which is being targeted? What positioning you are looking forward, and what are the different types of consumer profiles that you believe would be there, and then how it will be delivered to the consumer, what would be the distribution channels that will be used, what are different promotional activities, promotional schemes, or promotional strategies that you will undertake, and also what would be the pricing strategy for you. Would you be skimming the price, or you will simply using the penetration pricing? And finally, what would be the control system? How are you going to evaluate it, whether it is implemented properly or not? So all these will be a part of your marketing plan. So next, an explanation of the marketing plan elements proceed. So I will briefly go through this. I think most of the discussion is covered in whatever we have discussed, and also most of the things are self-explanatory, and there will be future chapters that are completely based upon a single element of the marketing plan. So selecting which alternative to pursue depends on the philosophy and culture and decision-making rules. What about philosophy? Why we talk about a particular culture or philosophy? Because as I told you, that an organization have a particular marketing orientation. If your marketing orientation is production orientation, if you believe that your focus should be on the quality of products and services, it should not be on the consumer needs, because consumer might not know that what they want. Steve Jobs went on and produced a smartphone which was buttonless, which was a smartphone that not many people expected to have. So that was something which was not built for customers' needs and wants. Of course, it was fulfilling those basic needs and wants that were the conventional needs and conventional wants of the time, but it was beyond that. It was a focus on the uniqueness of the product or service. So sometimes your orientation is on the product, but you can also be McDonald's, that is totally regulated. So I'm using this word, to little exaggeration, but it's a part of it that uh, whatever McDonald offers has to be in line with the customer needs and wants. There's a list of products that were offered by McDonald's but failed, and you can go on Google and find those products, because they failed not because they were not good products, because they were not tailored to the needs of the consumers. So The philosophy of the organization will define that what elements should be included in the marketing plan and what kind of decision making tools should be implied. So, a complete marketing plan can allow an organization to achieve marketing objectives. However, the marketing plan is only as good as the information or the effort that is made to prepare it and the creativity which is involved in producing of those products and services and the thought which was delivered into it, which was injected into it. Okay, so nobody can guarantee that a marketing plan would be successful because all the efforts, all the due diligence, all the critical evaluation of the components that were there in the environment, that is something which has to be considered while evaluating the success or the failure of a marketing plan. Okay, so next is defining the business mission. And I think we have spoken about this for those people who have already studied strategic management course. They already know that what elements should be there in the mission statement. First of all, the organizational philosophy should be there. The culture should be there. If you're a product oriented organization, then that product orientation needs to be reflected in your mission statement. But if you are focusing on your consumers, but then also that point should be highlighted into your mission statement. So number one, what business you are in, then what market you are focusing or the goods or services you are focusing on, and what about your strategic business units. So number one, the stakeholders are usually a part of the mission statement, but sometimes what happens that your strategic business units, they have their own mission statement. For example, Unilever has a broad portfolio, and within that portfolio, they have a lot of strategic business units that focus on a particular product line. So a single SPU will have their own mission sometimes. The reason for that is because that particular product line is different from other products and services. So their need, their manufacturing orientation would be different as compared to the other product lines. So here is Ben and Jerry, and you can look at the mission statement that basically has three different levels in it. Number one, the product level, then the economic level, and then the social level. If we look at the product level, the Ben and Jerry that produce ice cream, they say that to make, distribute, and sell the finest quality, all natural ice cream and related products in a wide variety of innovative flavors made from Vermont dairy products. So Vermont Dairy Products is basically the mother company which is owning the Ben and Jerry's ice cream. If we look at the economic perspective of the mission statement, it would be like to operate the company on a sound financial basis, a profitable growth, increasing value for our shareholders, and creating career opportunities and financial reward for our employees. Now, on the third level, if you look at from the social perspective, it should be like to operate the company in a way that actively recognizes the central role that business plays in the structure of society by initiating innovative ways to improve the quality of life of a broad community, local, national, and international. Now, why these three different dimensions? Number one, Ben and Jerry has a lot of social responsibility going on. Ben and Jerry ice cream in early 90s, they started this drive that they want to help the poor. They want to have a bit of their revenue go towards charity and philanthropy. So people who are not well off, they can get benefit of their revenue. At the same time, you have to have a financial perspective in your mission statement. If you're a bigger company, if you're a public company and you're a listed company on a stock exchange, the reason for that is your shareholders, they expect from you that you will focus on their growth, their value. Whatever they have invested in the business will grow in future, and that mutual agreement needs to be explicit. So Now, your strategic business units, as I told you, they can have different mission statement, and that totally depends upon the environment they're working in, the focus they have, the orientation they have, and also the product line they have. So all those factors will be included in that. So I will not go into detail of SWOT analysis. I will share a couple of videos with you regarding SWOT analysis. It is again a strategic tool. You don't only look on individual factors, individual components. You don't look at the strengths only or the weakness only or the opportunities or threat, but you actually integrate them. You try to understand that what are the opportunities that we can hunt in the environment, in the external environment, that can strengthen us more and that can overcome some of the weaknesses. And what are the threats that we can mitigate by just using our strengths and overcoming our weaknesses. So you might find that at the end of the day, the SWOT analysis needs to be integrated with some of the other analysis like Pestel analysis or business canvas models, right? So I will leave it to you, but I will leave it with an example. If we talk about the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for the ready-made clothing industry, you can understand their strength. They have a local garment industry that provides them the raw material. They have a lot of labor and workforce that can help them stitch it, package it, and provide it in the market, deliver it into the market. They have a lot of competition, which helps to keep the prices on a particular level. But at the same time, the economic environment, the inflation in the country is forcing them to introduce a lot of promotional strategies. The reason for that is because the consumer is not purchasing from them a lot because of the reducing buying power. So a lot of factors are involved in this that you can look into. And the similar kind of analysis can be done for telecommunication industry. Okay, so individual components will be left to you. You can read them. You can just look at some of the examples. All right, I think this would be enough for this session. In the future sessions, we will continue from marketing objectives, and we will see that what are different kind of marketing objectives that we can pursue. Thank you very much.